Okay, so we have Yue Li here from UCI, and take it away.
Okay, thanks, Nate. For those of you who do not know me, I'm a postdoc working with Jim Randerson from UC Irvine, and so I'm really glad to share with you this recent research that we are currently working on. And so for this presentation, we are trying to combine the strengths from both the Earth system models and also the satellite observation to try to quantify the biophysical climate effect of tropical deforestation on the carbon cost, especially the above ground biomass and also the carbon climate feedback. Yeah. So the climate warming with increasing CO2 and also the land use change are two main risks for the tropical ecosystem. The big question is like whether the tropical system, whether or when does the tropical ecosystem will see the tipping point under both the stress from the global warming and also the human activities on the land. And for tropical deforestation, we know that with deforestation, which is a major source of land use emissions that contributes to the global carbon cycles, and just after the dominant role of fossil fuel emissions. And also we also know that the tropical deforestation, in addition to their land use emissions rules, and also they could, after deforestation, the surface biophysical variables could change. For example, if we move the trees from the ground to convert them, to transfer them into grassland or some cropland, the surface like albedo could increase, the surface latent heat could decrease, and also the surface roughness could decrease significantly. Yeah. So, and also we show here in this slide on the right figure. You can see this is a literature synthesis on the Amazonia deforestation impacts on the rainfall. So from different model simulations. So from this relationship, you can see if we discard the large uncertainty from models from different internal variabilities. So you can see there's general a linear relationship between the rainfall and deforestation in the Amazon. So we are really thinking about if we can use this relationship trying to quantify the climate effects from the tropical deforestation. So from this figure, you can see, especially for deforestation in the tropical ecosystems, the very well-known pathway is the deforestation will release more carbon dioxide into the atmosphere, which causes the global warming. And this climate change will further have a very large influence on the intact forest in the tropical forest, and then maybe accelerate the release of the carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. And also for the existing studies, we also know that the deforestation in the tropics will cause a warmer and drier environment, which has impacts on the regional rainfall and temperature. And previously, a lot of work has focused on quantify these deforestation caused the rainfall and temperature to regional or global climate, but there's really no real focus on like what does this mean to the nearby intact forest? How will this cause like a loss or a change in the above ground biomass, and cause how large is this pathways? So our first question is what is the biomass lost or cost of tropical deforestation through change in the biophysics and regional climate? And also, yeah, this is very well-known framework that quantify the increasing CO2 to the land surface and also the global carbon cycle. So, but for this framework, it does not take account into the land use.
Hello,
change.
baby. Oh, Yeah, thank you. Whoa, yeah. How was your nap?
Sorry about that. I took care of it.
Okay. Yeah, and also for this framework, this framework, it doesn't consider the land use change. Typically, that is the land use, the fraction of different vegetations is fixed in this set of simulations. So our second question is like, does the climate change, the biophysical climate change associated with the tropical deforestation will increase or dampen this gamma? Yeah. So yeah, in addition to this very well-known pathway, so what we try to do in this study is we want to quantify how tropical deforestation will cause the regional climate to change, and how large this climate change will, how large vegetation carbon is caused by this climate change. So to quantify the first step, we use the current CMIP-6 LUMIP experiments. For those of you who are not very familiar with the LUMIP experiments. So basically, we know there's pre-industrial simulations in the CMIP-6. So the LUMIP experiments, the idealized deforestation simulations, will perform 50 years deforestation globally. And after the year of 50, they will keep the forest fraction fixed after for another most of the model for another 30 years. So so there's an implicit assumption we have here is like we assume that after this 50 years deforestation, we use the average of the last 30 years, compare it to the pre-industrial simulations regarding the precipitation, the temperature, to regard this as the climate phase of the idealized deforestation. And also because the idealized deforestation in the LUMIP experiments is globally, so we have also used CSM2 to help us confirm that we replicate the LUMIP experiments only within the tropics. So to help us to confirm the regional the climate response to regional tropical deforestation. And also to quantify the climate impacts on the biomass, so we have choose to use the observations. That is, the biomass is from a recent release, the ESA-CCI above ground biomass. And also we have used other observation like the observational rainfall and surface air temperature to try to use these observations to calculate the climate sensitivity. So here in this figure, you can see from the left panel, for example, in the Amazon, in the Congo, here is the temporal curve of the biomass. That is the vegetation carbon, and also the tree cover after in the LUMIP idealized deforestation experiments. So you can see different model has different biomass simulations, but yeah, generally after deforestation in the first 50 years, all the biomass decline, and also the tree cover declines. So, but you can see the biomass has a lot more like divergent performance across different model because they have different performance in the simulated biomass. But for the tree cover, it's relatively more consistent. So and also there's a biomass simulation bias in this model. So basically we are using the tree cover change in these different models, and also we try to calculate another observational relationship showing on the right panel. So this figure shows that the observational relationship between the tree cover fraction and the above ground biomass in the tropics across these regions. So basically you can see for the observation is quite consistent that like a 10% change or increase in the tree cover in the forest that corresponds to like 20 megacarbon per hectare. So we use these model simulated tree cover decline and also these observations to calculate the absolute change in the biomass loss caused by deforestation. Yeah. So this is the total loss that is we commonly use in the carbon emissions values. And talking about the observational above-ground biomass data, so here we use the data from the ESA data. So you can see from these figures that the ESA data has a pretty high spatial resolution, which is 100 meters spatial resolution. But also, yeah, I have tried to compare this ESA data with the biomass map used in ILM. That is the Sensa-G's biomass map. Yeah, across the tropics, I think that the magnitude is comparable, but also know that, yeah, even for these biomass map, if we compare them to the field inventory, that is in some like high fraction of intact forest areas, these biomass map could also underestimate the field inventories. Yeah, so for quantify the first step, we have mapped these two, that is quantify the deforestation impacts on the tropical precipitation and also the tropical temperature. So for the rainfall, you can see is especially for the Amazon, most model agree on the declined rainfall in response to the deforestation in the tropics. And also for the Congo, there's the decreased rainfall is mainly occurred in the west southern part of this, but on the northeast is not significant change in the rainfall. And also in the maritime continent in tropical Asia, there's some signal, but not very widespread. Yeah, but yeah, for the rainfall response, we know that deforestation will cause the surface latent heat to decrease, and as well as with the weather vapor transport from the land surface to the atmosphere. So there must be some like change in the circulation that along with this change. Yeah, but also these are also influenced by some because these simulations are full coupled, they can also be influenced by the sea surface temperature and the ocean's response. And for the temperature response, you can see in the Amazon with loss or in high fraction of intact forest, the temperature increase very largely. And in Congo, the increase is not so high. This is because the Congo, the cloud response is generally smaller than the Amazon. So the daily maximum temperature should not increase too much. So and this is often offset by the nighttime decrease in temperature. And on the areas outside of the Congo basins, so this cooling effect is actually caused by the North Hemisphere deforestation caused by the albedo effect. So because these are global deforestation, we have tried use the CSM to replicate the deforestation in the tropics, but find this area just disappear if we only perform the deforestation within the tropics. And for the Southeast Asia and the tropical maritime continent, so for this area, because these continents are really close to ocean, so their temperature is really not sensitive to the local deforestation. So we have tried to calculate these numbers. Yeah, basically the Amazon deforestation, Congo deforestation, and also the maritime continent deforestation, the recovery loss will cause for example, like 6.7% loss in the rainfall. So now we have the deforestation relationship with the rainfall and temperature change. And next step is for us to quantify what is the climate sensitivity of the biomass to the climate change. So here we actually use use all the tropical grid cells to calculate the spatial climate sensitivity of the biomass to rainfall and also to temperature. So you can see because we use all the grid cells within the tropics. But excluding some desert grid cells and also with the annual precipitation with lower than 100 millimeters, per year. So because we also would consider both the forest and also the savanna and also grassland, so you can see the rainfall sensitivity of biomass is really high and pretty strong, which corresponding like a 8.2% increase of the AGB per 100 millimeter per year. But for the temperature, the sensitivity is relatively smaller. And also we have used this linear regression to the CMIP6 PI control, which should be disturbed less by human activity. So yeah, the regression results show that they did have a more high R squares, like 0.6 than the observations. But the rainfall sensitivity is comparable and the temperature sensitivity is quite low. So then in the next slide, I'll explain why this temperature sensitivity is different. So I have also tried to put this observational and also CMIP6 simulated biomass into the climate space. So you can see there's follows the different rainfall levels. There is like a AGB gradient here. So that explains why the rainfall, why the AGB is really sensitive to rainfall. So which implies that for like long-term evolution, the climate, the tropical ecosystem is really is really sensitive to the rainfall change. I think this spatial sensitivity also includes the potential transition from forest to tropical savannas, as this is a spatial gradient. But for the temperature sensitivity, you can see mostly in some lower rainfall levels, the temperature sensitivity could be negative. And also for the CMIP6 models, the temperature sensitivity, the spatial sensitivity really vary depending on the rainfall climatology, especially for some high rainfall areas like in the tropical Asia time, the spatial, the positive temperature sensitivity of the AGB indicates that in some very high grid cells, the AGB is really large. So that causes the temperature to sensitivity to become positive. Yeah. And also we have also examined, in addition to the mean annual temperature and mean annual precipitation, we also examined other metrics such as the VPT, maximum temperature. It turns out they generally has very high high collinearity with the temperature or the precipitation, and the regression is not significantly better than the temperature and rainfall. So we use the LUMIP derived deforestation impacts on the regional rainfall and temperature, and also we use the observational biomass sensitivity to climate to quantify that in the Amazon, the deforestation in the Amazon will compare to their direct removal of the biomass, the biophysical impacts, mainly through rainfall decline, will cause an additional 6.8%, and also in the Congo for 4.1%. But for the maritime, the intact forest in tropical Asia, this is almost negligible because their biomass shows that they have very small sensitivity to climate there. And also following previously, we have calculated the gamma metric for either from the CO₂-driven C4 MIPS experiments. We use the vegetation carbon normalized by the temperature warming in the full coupled simulations. So you can see, yeah, this is very well because the climate warming is meant to cause the vegetation carbon to lose in the tropical ecosystem. But if we use the same calculation method but use the biophysical impacts on the vegetation carbon on the biomass and normalized by the temperature change also caused by the deforestation. So you can see this gamma is even more negative because our studies show that deforestation has a much larger influence on the regional rainfall. So the temperature increase will not be that large. So that means if we do consider the land use such as the tropical deforestation within the current C4 MIP or the climate carbon cycle feedback framework, this gamma could be amplified. So I think I will end here. So here's several take-home message, and also there's some acknowledgement for the Inca colleagues for helping me to perform the simulation on Cheyenne. So yeah, I think I will stop here.
Okay, thanks very much, Yue. I appreciate that. Do we have any questions for Yue?
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, please.
Maybe so. I'm not familiar with this this field of research, and I'm just wondering how do the deforestation climate change effect in models compare to things like observed in remote sensing data, if that is an estimable quantity from remote sensing?
Yeah. Thank you for the question. We use the LUMIP experiments. Actually, it's really hard to really observe the deforestation impacts on the climate, especially for rainfall. I know what you mean, that we can actually perform some comparisons using satellite data for forest area with grassland areas to try to compare their their temperature response. That could work, because temperature response is mostly locally, but the rainfall is really hard because the rainfall, we know the spatial pattern of rainfall change will not correspond to the spatial pattern of the deforestation, because there's also circulation driven effects. So here we only focus on like the tropical basins, which is regional. So we are expecting that the rainfall, the water vapor would recycle in these tropical areas. So that's why we use the Earth system model to derive the relationship between the deforestation and the rainfall. Yeah, I think for temperature that could work, but for the rainfall it's really hard to have some observations using satellites. Yeah.
I see. Thank you.
Bharat?
Nice presentation. Thank you so much. Could you please elaborate your take-home message too? Is it like for policymakers? What does carbon credit basically mean in this take-home message?
Yeah, thanks for the questions. I think what you mentioned is really important, because we are thinking about like the tropical deforestation would cause some like carbon loss, but then additionally they have like effects on the regional climate. So if we like restore them, would they provide extra carbon credit for some reference? Yeah, so our study is the kind of like the first step, trying to quantify how large is this, and also this is only for the above ground biomass. But yeah, I think that could be your thought is really important. I think should be further considered in the future. Yeah.
Okay, any remaining question for either Yue or Bill? I think Bill's still on.
Yeah, hi, I'm Rongyu Chen. I also had a question about the rainfall for the Amazon Congo, that region. So did you have any convection or having see the water vapor differences for this region?
We have checked like some basic biophysical variables, like the latent heat, susceptible heat, and also the surface net radiation. Actually, for LUMIP experiments, there is a recent paper by I think it's called Boyson. They already illustrate their almost many of the biophysical response in the LUMIP experiments. So you can try to read that. for more details. So here we mainly focus on the different model performance on simulating the deforestation on the regional climate.
Okay, I see. Thank you.
If there is time, I wanted to ask, so you showed one slide where you were comparing the sensitivity of temperature versus precipitation across different regions. And I saw in the observation, you didn't have like some sensitivity values for a region which was exceeding, I don't know, like 200 millimeters per a day precipitation. Do you know that slide?
Yeah, so you mean the spatial sensitivity, right? Sorry, I didn't quite get your question. So what's your question?
So my question is, you compared the two regions and you said these tropical regions have a high sensitivity to temperature and precipitation, but that particular region, which was on the extreme right of your plot, doesn't have. But we didn't see the historical, the observation values in your plot.
Yeah, because you mean the biomass sensitivity, right?
Yes, so it was like your plot was mean air temperature versus precipitation plots.
Okay, yeah, that's from the LUMIP experiments. So actually, that is kind of like idealized experiments that could we can simply we cannot compare this with the observations, because that only isolates the deforestation impacts. Yeah, but in the reality, you have like different influence from the environmental change or the warming.
Okay.
Thanks.
Okay, well, let's we thank both the speakers, Yue and Bill, for some interesting talks. I appreciate you guys being on. Appreciate everybody being here, and I hope that you have a great weekend and take care of yourselves.
My pleasure. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.